myths and power walk hand in hand. Castles rise from the fog, kings wear crowns heavy with secrets, and the fate of millions rests on royal decisions. This is not just a story of kings and queens. It's the story of how a small island forged one of the most influential monarchies in the world, the English crown. Long before England became England, the land was a patchwork of tribes, warriors, and invaders. First came the Celts, then the Romans, leaving behind roads, baths, and a sense of empire. But when the Romans withdrew in the 5th century, chaos rushed in. Anglo-Saxon kings rose, carving out small kingdoms like Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria. Each fought for dominance, but none could hold power for long. That was, until one man changed history, Alfred the Great. Alfred was no ordinary king. Against Viking invaders, he defended his lands with cunning strategies, building fortresses, and even designing a navy. He left behind a dream, not of scattered tribes, but of one united England. That dream nearly collapsed in 1066 with one of the most famous battles in history, the Battle of Hastings. On one side, Harold Godwinson, last Anglo-Saxon king. On the other, William, Duke of Normandy, later known as William the Conqueror. The clash was brutal, arrows raining, shields clashing, and by sunset Harold lay dead, an arrow in his eye. England fell to the Normans. William brought with him more than soldiers. He reshaped England, introducing castles of stone, a new aristocracy, and the Domesday Book, a record of everything owned, down to the last cow. England was no longer just England, it was part of a European dynasty. The centuries that followed were a storm. Kings fought wars abroad and rebellions at home. Some shone like legends, others drowned in failure. Take King Richard the Lionheart, remembered as a crusader king, yet he barely spent time in England. Or King John, infamous for cruelty and high taxes. His barons rebelled, forcing him to sign the Magna Carta in 1215. That single moment planted the seed of democracy, the idea that even a king must obey the law. Fast forward to the 15th century, and England was torn apart by civil war. Two rival houses, Lancaster with their red rose and York with their white, fought for the throne. This was not just politics, it was betrayal, family against family, battles fought in muddy fields. Out of the chaos rose Henry Tudor, who defeated Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth in 1485. Henry became Henry VII, founding the Tudor dynasty. The Wars of the Roses ended, but England's story was only heating up. The Tudors are perhaps the most famous of all English monarchs. Henry VIII, larger than life, married 6 times, desperate for a son. When the Pope refused his divorce, Henry broke away from the Catholic Church, declaring himself head of the Church of England. That single act, done for love or perhaps obsession, shattered centuries of religious unity and set England on a new course. His daughter, Elizabeth I, became one of the greatest monarchs in history. She ruled over a golden age of exploration, Shakespeare's plays, and the defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588. Under her reign, England began to look outward, to the seas, to the world. But not all rulers were so beloved. After Elizabeth came the Stuarts, and with them, chaos. King Charles. Sykes believed in the divine right of kings. Parliament disagreed. Tensions exploded into the English Civil War. Cavaliers for the king, Roundheads for Parliament. The war ended with something unthinkable, a king executed by his own people. England became a republic, led by Oliver Cromwell. For a brief moment, monarchy itself was dead. But the English people soon grew weary of strict rule. The monarchy was restored, though never again with absolute power. The Glorious Revolution of 1688 cemented the idea. Parliament would rule alongside the crown. The monarchy was now constitutional, not absolute. As centuries passed, the monarchy became less about ruling and more about symbolizing. Yet the influence of England, and later Britain, grew vast. Kings and queens presided as the British Empire expanded across continents. At its height, it covered a quarter of the globe. Its monarch called not just King or Queen of England, but Emperor or Empress of India. But power shifted. The Industrial Revolution changed society, Parliament grew stronger, and the monarchy adapted. By the time Queen Victoria reigned in the 19th century, the monarchy had become more ceremonial. Victoria herself, however, became a symbol of family, morality, and empire. Her long reign left an indelible mark, shaping the very image of monarchy as we see it today. The 20th century brought wars, abdications, and scandal. King Edward VIII shocked the world by giving up the throne for love, choosing to marry Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee. His brother became King George VII, who, with Queen Elizabeth, inspired the nation during World War II. Then came Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in English history. Through decades of change, decolonization, the rise of television, the internet age, she remained a steady presence. Her reign symbolized continuity in a rapidly shifting world. And now the story continues with King Charles III, inheriting not absolute power, but a crown heavy with history, tradition, and the watchful eyes of millions. From Alfred the Great to Elizabeth II, from conquest to constitution, the English monarchy has survived war, rebellion, scandal, and change. It is not the same monarchy it once was. Its power has faded, its role transformed, but its symbolism endures. Because in the end, the crown is more than gold and jewels. It is memory, it is tradition. It is the living thread that ties the England of today to 1,000 years of history. And as long as that crown remains, so too does the story of England's kings and queens, a story of ambition, power, and survival.